So Fallout 76 has a lot of features, many of these being different or new from Fallout 4. With so many of you guys just picking up the game with the holiday or for Christmas, or alternatively just having more free time to play, I wanted to make another iteration of these videos where I show you or tell you about certain features in the game that aren't super clear. Either the game never introduces you to them or does a pretty bad job, and it leads to a lot of people not fully understanding their usage. I've actually made several other videos in this series. There's no real overlap between any of these, so if you want to check out some of the other ones, I will have them linked in the description, in the eye, or even at the end of this video. There's actually a lot of really good tips in many of these. Otherwise though, if you guys do enjoy the content, you can leave a like or subscribe, but with all of that being said, let's look at the first one, which is the fact that you could actually tame animals and have them be kind of pets at your camp in Fallout 76. So this is actually a fairly difficult one to achieve. There's a lot of requirements to actually get this done properly, so I'll show you how I did it and how you can do it also. One of the very first things you're actually going to need is a certain perk, that being the Animal Friend perk. This isn't available to some of the higher levels, so if you're not seeing it under the charisma stat, that's probably why. And in my experience, I needed all 3 levels of this perk for taming to actually show up as an option. When I only had 2 levels, after numerous attempts, nothing actually popped up. Even beyond that, in order for a creature to be tameable, it actually has to be a random encounter. For example, you know that bear that always spawns right outside of the Civil War Museum? That is not eligible to be tamed. It has to be a creature that only appears there sometimes. One example of a random encounter location, and the location I'm using for this video, is going to be in the mire. It's basically right here on your map just south of Abby's bunker. Although you could Google around, there are a bunch of these all around the map, and basically in random encounter locations, you don't know what you're going to get. It might be a random creature like I'm showing you, or it could be a messenger bot or one of those prize bots that you do see. But even that isn't always enough. It's just good to have more charisma in general. Also, having Wasteland Whisperer, which is going to allow you to pacify creatures, is also very helpful in this process. Then once you have all these factors together, you have a random chance at getting a tameable animal. It won't always be there. Sometimes it won't work, but when it does, it is pretty awesome. And basically after that, this guy's going to act as a guard at your camp. But even here, there's another feature that isn't really told. Basically, after taming this thing, it's going to have to walk to your camp, so it might take a little while for him to show up there. For me, it probably took 5 to 10 minutes for him to walk across the map. But even beyond that, he actually uses 5 to 10% of your camp space. So if you don't have enough space in your camp, then he won't go there, or he just simply won't be tameable. But after having him, it's pretty cool. He will defend your camp from enemies. You can disconnect and reconnect, although if you move your camp, apparently it gets really glitchy and it might just not work anymore. If your tamed creature does eventually die, unfortunately you will lose it, but otherwise this definitely is a pretty cool mechanic in the game that I think very few people are taking advantage of. A couple of days ago, I made a video showing you guys some super rare items in Fallout 76. If you missed it, you can click on the little eye. One of the ways you actually get some of the rarest items in this game is from those roaming vendors. The 2 notable ones being the responders bot that I showed off in that video, but also Graham, the more common one that follows a certain path. A really useful tip when trying to farm these guys is actually bring a friend. So basically the inventories of these guys are instants, meaning that for each individual person on the server, they're going to carry different things. So if you and your friend both go up to this guy, you have a higher likelihood of finding whatever that thing is. But even beyond that, another useful tip, if your friend, let's say, stays there and then you disconnect and reconnect to the server, joining back in on your friend, the inventory of all the vendors on the server will actually reset and it'll be anew again. You could use this method to hopefully actually find that random item you are looking for, or even use it with multiple people to really maximize your chances. Whether you're looking for rare plans or just a cool outfit, this is probably one of the best ways to actually farm some of them. Then for PC users, we have an interesting one that you may have missed. With the latest update to Fallout 76, we got cool things like an FOV slider, as well as some other quality of life features on the display setting though. It seems like along the way, a new bug was actually implemented here. Now when actually changing the quality setting of Fallout 76, like from low, medium, high, or ultra, it doesn't affect the texture quality. So I could see someone maybe that just got the game, or somebody that was having FPS issues and modified this, not realizing one of the core and most important factors that goes into quality isn't getting modified. That means either it could be left on a low setting or it can be left on ultra, causing you additional frame drops when you don't know why. And beyond all of that, we actually have some oddities with Rad-X and diluted Rad-X. Rad-X. First and foremost, Rad-X and diluted Rad-X actually stack. So if you use both Rad-X and then a diluted Rad-X, you'll have 300 rad resistance. This is particularly useful when going into nuke zones. And even beyond that, another part a lot of people probably don't realize, Rad-X itself actually suppresses mutations, meaning that you don't get the positives or the negatives of your presently held mutations. But with the diluted version of Rad-X, even though it lists itself as suppressing mutations, it doesn't actually. I have the Speed Demon mutation. If you actually look at these videos side by side, one with diluted Rad-X and one with regular, you can see I'm running faster in the diluted one. And even further, if you compare me using diluted Rad-X to using nothing, just being normal, then you'll see it is pretty much exactly the same. So diluted Rad-X, something that many of you probably dropped, and right now, probably many of you are regretting dropping. Another pretty big one, especially for those of you that are just getting into Fallout 76, maybe coming off of Fallout 4, is the name changes to legendary items. In Fallout 76, of course, there is this system where items can have multiple legendaries at once. If you are intensely farming legendaries, really trying to get that explosive variant, because it's almost essential to have that at the later levels to actually be relevant in combat, you can't really pay attention to the names anymore. A lot of times, even when you get the legendary, it won't list all of the benefits or effects it has on it. In reality, you're going to have to inspect the item itself. It seems like Bethesda never updated its naming or the actual display when you get it to reflect that it has multiple effects. So don't go just off the name anymore like you could have in Fallout 4. Now you actually have to look at what the individual effects are. And then finally, one really big quality of life feature that people don't seem to take advantage of is actually in camps. So while in a camp, you could actually use Shift plus WASD, like the moving keys, to shift between the different menus. Using W and S will make you go up and down, using A and D will make you cycle through the variants, all while hitting Shift. And it's just a lot easier to do it this way, rather than having to take your hand off and actually go to the arrow keys, which seemingly a lot of people are doing. This is actually a feature in Fallout 4 also, in case some of you guys didn't know about that. And that's actually all the ones I tested and filmed, but somebody posted on Reddit, and full credit to this guy because I'm basically just ripping off his image, but I figure I'd shout it out anyway. You can actually climb buildings using the railway rifle. So basically you shoot a rail into the building and it creates little jump spots for you. Unfortunately, while filming this video, I couldn't find one and show it to you myself, but it certainly seems like it could be a useful tool when trying to get to hard to get places or you don't have a jetpack or the marsupial mutation. All in all, that's largely going to wrap it up for this one. Hopefully you guys found some of these either fun, interesting, or just really useful. I feel like the taming one in particular, a lot of people don't know about that, and it is just kind of something fun and interesting to do in the game. Spend a couple of hours. And in the end, you have a cool pet to walk around your settlement.